Ethiopia to export, most of its products duty-free to the United States. I think it's going to depend with what they think they're going to get in return out of Addis. And I suspect they may use that. They're not going to telegraph it ahead of time as an incentive or as a condition in what they're discussing, that there is need for accountability. There is need to be able to follow through with some of those the agreements that have been made. And they may be using that as the carrot to try and extract some either concessions or push the government in Addis, to take certain steps, especially insofar as holding people to account. Massive atrocities were committed and by both sides, as has been pointed out by the State Department. But Washington is also limited. Is limited in the sense that at the height of the conflict, it successfully was able to achieve Paranization of Addis. And using, of course, the kind of soft power it has around the world, whether in terms of media, as well as within Europe, it succeeded in actually isolating Addis. Now, in reaction, Addis demonstrated that they have partners and they have alternatives. Yeah, and those alternatives were exercised and was evidenced by very robust involvement and very public, presence of China. In Ethiopia that said we're casting our lot with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and we're not going away, as well as others who thought that's an opportunity to be able to make up for what Washington the West was not making up. And so that has also constrained the hand of Washington in trying to do what they please or as they choose. Now, with the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine, you can see there is an increasing interest, not just by Washington, but countries in the West, to actually get a lot of African countries on board, on their side. Ethiopia, as a strategically important country and the second most populous country on the continent, is very important to that dynamic. To isolate it may mean, having fewer allies, with you in the larger geopolitical context, and especially as the Horn of Africa becomes the next theater of global geopolitics, especially in the Southern Hemisphere. And so we see this as a continuation of U.S. trying to support a peace process, but also trying to expand its foothold and restore the kind of influence they had in Addis Ababa, as well as within the Horn of Africa region, at a time, of course, when the region is also facing a lot of challenges. Abiy Ahmed and Ethiopia needs a lot of help, much like, of course, the rest of the Horn of Africa region that is facing serious issues of food security and stabilization. And they realize that also Abiy Ahmed and Addis is critical in terms of anchoring some kind of stability within the entire hemisphere. But I think fundamentally it is a continuation of the kind of diplomatic engagements we've seen from Addis. And it's not just from Addis, it's also coming from the East. The Russians are trying to do the same. The Chinese are trying to do the same in their own way. And so you have a contest, both, one, the desire to restore what you lost, two, to try and be able to spread certain values and remain consistent to that, and three, respond to the geopolitical challenges and realities that right now the West and the United States also facing from its arch rivals in the East.